Hello, welcome back to Jacoby Rising. Today's video is the video documentary for episode 12 of Reign Series 3 entitled Elements Collide. It's called Elements Collide because this is a massive episode where there's so many visual effects, everyone's fighting each other. It's honestly the most intense episode, I think, of the entire series, at least when it comes to like fight scene wise. It's the third to last episode, and it's a big episode, right? This is part of the finale. A lot happens in this episode, so it's grand. It's huge. It's massive. Elements are literally colliding. Episode 12 is honestly insane. So episode 12 took 8 months for me to finish. It's ironic because when I wrote out the series a couple years ago, I had a lot of fun writing episode 12, but I remembered in the back of my head, I'm just like, oh my God, when I get to this episode, when I start making this episode, editing this episode, it's going to take so freaking long. And it definitely took a very long time. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of just the professor kind of fighting everybody.
I thought you were after Frank on that other kid.
And anyone who stays in my way to get to them. That includes you!
We have a scene where the professor fights Leal, and it's super brief, and we didn't really get to see much of Leal and professor really going at it. They kind of went at it very briefly in episode 9, but it was more or less the professor just taking out Leal. So in this scene we get to see Leal kind of hold himself against the professor.
I'm no idiot. You're in my domain now.
And one thing that I've always considered is that, in my opinion, Leal is the most powerful character in the show when it comes to mastering his ability. Frank Daryl is the most powerful character in terms of raw output power, and then the professor is the most dangerous character because he's the most unpredictable. Having a scene where Leal fights the professor, I really love that because I wanted to show him kind of going after everyone, because the professor doesn't really have a goal. You know, he wants to take out Frank, he wants to take out Daryl, he wants to take out Ted. Once he does those things, I don't know what he would really do afterwards. He's kind of like on this vendetta. That's his whole purpose of existence, really. Him going after Leal is just kind of collateral damage. Like, Leal's in the way, let me take you out. But Leal's like, I don't want to deal with you, so just fuck off. And the professor doesn't really take it as like a loss. He's like, oh look, Frank and Daryl, let me go after them.
Finally!
So I wanted the professor to really kind of fight everybody equally enough, right? So this is literally the professor's biggest episode in the whole series. He goes after all these different characters. When Frank got to the space station, his fire actually went from blue to orange, and that's because there's not much oxygen in space. They're in a space station, so there's limited oxygen in the area. When he was on Reach, there's a lot more oxygen because it's a planet. So his fire is blue. So when he's in space, his fire is orange. So he's already kind of at a disadvantage. So when the professor fights Frank and Daryl at the same time, even though it's 2v1, the professor is able to easily hold his own because the professor is an element. He's literally lightning. He's not restricted to the elements of his surroundings, ironically being an element himself. I also just wanted to show very dynamic, different scenes. It allowed me to kind of play around with visual effects, with editing.
I slept with your sister!
Ted!
You did what?
So it's not often that I throw in comedy within Series 3. Series 1, Series 2 was super comedic. With bits of drama. Series 3 is all pretty much drama, but every so often I'll sprinkle in a little bit of comedy. Ted and Aaron are fighting more. They're in the space station. Like, this situation is already kind of ridiculous and crazy, and Ted is not sure like what's gonna happen. In a moment of uncertainty, he tells Aaron, hey, I slept with Ava. I had sex with your sister.
Aaron?
Go get him, bad boy!
It was foreshadowed in previous episodes, like at some point they were gonna tell Aaron like, hey, this happened.
I'm sorry, I froze. Oh, this isn't like me.
It's okay. We'll let him know when the time is right.
Yeah.
One of Ted's main goals in the whole show was to lose his virginity. So it's a funny moment, especially with how it kind of comes out, and it's also just really bad timing with the situation that they're in.
I want to date your sister!
In the previous episode, he's like, I want to date Ava. So it kind of just made sense, like, hey, by the way, I did this with your sister. Ted's like very new to dating. He doesn't really know what he's doing. And again, I think in that moment, he's like, I'm probably like, I might die. So let me just tell Aaron, hey, like I totally had sex with Ava. It was awesome, by the way. So it's a funny moment, but it's also kind of an endearing moment.
Can I get out of here? You're explaining yourself.
Come on! We can be brother-in-laws!
And it kind of brings them closer together as friends, even though it's a weird thing to kind of say to your friend that you fucked their sister. So, I don't know. Everyone does it differently. Next scene, we have Leal versus Tom, and it's a very brief scene, but I really love it, and I love how I was able to kind of implement it. I think it's like 40 seconds long. So we see Tom for the first time, or not the first time, we saw it in episode 11, but he's literally becoming the Nomad again. He's becoming that person he used to be when he was in the military a long time ago. And for him to kind of take charge and go after like the main guy in charge, it's really interesting. It's just cool to see him kind of be on equal level with Leal. Now, granted, Leal was totally like dominating everybody with his power to freeze everyone, but because Frank stepped in and like assisted Tom, Tom's now able to kind of equally fight Leal and overcome him to some extent.
Nice try.
But because Frank helped Tom, that allows the professor to get a open attack in, and or I should say get a sneak attack in on Frank, which takes him out temporarily. And this switches to the next scene, which is Daryl versus the professor. So in episode 8, we got a little bit of this where we saw the professor and Daryl have a scene where Daryl was able to confront him like, hey, you really screwed up my life and I don't appreciate that. Let me talk to you about like how wrong that was, and let me stand up for myself and prove to everybody that I am not this crazy person.
You're the reason my life has been upside down because of your actions.
You mean our actions?
It's still one thing to like talk to your aggressor. It's another thing to defeat your aggressor.
Why do this to yourself, Daryl? This warthog causes so many problems in our lives!
Wrong! He fucked up your life, not mine.
So we have this scene where Daryl's put in this position where he has to defend Frank because Frank has been subdued temporarily by the professor. And it's a really powerful scene because for the first time, Daryl's not only able to talk down the professor, he's able to overcome him with the only way that the professor kind of understands, which is fighting. That's what really speaks with the professor, and Daryl's able to use that and actually overcome his perpetrator.
I will not allow you to prevail.
We mentioned before in previous episodes that Imperiums awaken in extreme situations, and because Daryl is able to kind of control his emotions and control like what he wants to accomplish, he's able to awaken his Imperium and unlock Red Lightning, and he's able to overpower the professor.
I am my own person.
So it's a very powerful scene for Daryl to finally overcome the professor. But the professor, as we've spoken about before, doesn't really care about who wins or loses. He's just kind of here to cause chaos. And he gets up like nothing's really happened, not really caring that Daryl has kind of overcome this for himself. But now it's a chance for Frank to step in and now take on the professor for his own issues that has plagued Frank in previous episodes.
Rest up. Let me have some fun now. Why are you doing this, girl? Nikki, right? What's your end goal?
To shed the truth about this weather that has paused all of our lives for almost 3 years.
The scene with Nikki and Jennifer and Leal is interesting because throughout the whole series, we've seen Leal help Mort get through his trauma, where he is saying like, you know, at some point you'll overcome this. Like, you don't really get over death. You just learn to deal with it.
What's the next distraction?
Believe it or not, a time will come where you no longer need them.
Really? When?
When you no longer ask the question, when you no longer have it in your mind.
I think it resonates with me, obviously, as someone who's lost both of their parents, but there's a quote: it's easier to give advice, it's harder to take that advice and grow from it. Throughout the whole series, we've seen Leal like really be headstrong and confident and just very, it seemed like he was in control of his emotions when it comes to his parents. There's a lot that he still has to work through. Like you'll never get over it. It's just, you have to learn to live with it. And Leal, I think he's kind of suppressed it for a long time. For him to kind of break.
Je ne sais que maman tous les jours.
Moi aussi, mon cœur, moi aussi.
It really makes him vulnerable. It makes him more emotional than he usually is typically.
Je t'aime de tout mon cœur.
When he sees Nikki and Jennifer as two people that love each other, it reminds him of his parents, and that kind of causes him to take a pause on things, because not only is he very emotional bringing up his parents, but he's also emotional seeing two people that remind him of both of his parents.
Why are you defending her?
Because I love Nikki and I will defend my girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
Yeah, got a problem with that?
And it causes him to pause, and this gives the other characters a chance to take advantage of the situation where they can kind of talk him down and try to convince him to stop the rain. Because he's been hyper-focusing on the rain for such a long time. He hyper-focused so much on like keeping it raining all the time because of what it reminded him when he was with his parents, that he kind of forgot about everything else. And I know it might seem kind of obvious, like, oh, well, obviously if you focus on this, like, you're going to be lost in it. But it's one thing to hyper-focus on something and use it as a way to distract yourself while getting through trauma. That's one thing, but it's another thing to use that distraction where it distracts you too much, where you don't address your issues and you just kind of use it as like a coping mechanism. And for the longest time, I think Leal kind of used it as a coping mechanism. And Nikki and Jennifer, their relationship kind of opens Leal's eyes up to like, whoa, maybe I've taken this way too far. Leal wasn't going to be defeated through power, but through emotion.
Leal!
Because of that internal conflict, we see the scenes with like Leal and Richard.
The rain has poured for far too long. I didn't think you'd take it this far.
Do you know what it's like to go on without your parents? Each day takes farther and farther away from their existence.
One of the most uncomfortable things that he has to deal with is that every day is a day further away from his parents being alive. And that's a direct reference to me. So when my mom and dad passed away, my dad passed in 2016, my mom passed in 2019. One thing that really bothered me about those things was living in a world where every single day that would progress would be a day further away from their existence. And I know that seems kind of weird to word it like that, but it's just like, my whole life is different now compared to when they were both alive. It used to bother me a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't bother me anymore. I really haven't thought about it in a while, so maybe to some extent I'm kind of like Leal. Interesting that I wrote it like that, since I am the writer. I remember at some point, it really did bother me. Just every single day was a day further from them being like alive in this world. Just not being able to control that. You know, not that I would ever forget them. It just sucks that it's been such a long time of them not being here.
I'm sorry about what happened to you, Leal. But everyone goes through death. We just deal with it in our own way.
And their passing and losing both of them, it definitely affected me early on. I'm now in therapy. I know this is totally off topic. Kind of off topic. I'm in therapy. I don't think Leal's been in therapy, you know? I don't think Leal has really taken those steps to heal himself emotionally. You know, I think distractions are good. I think they really help for times like now. Times like with anything, like dealing with death, dealing with trauma, dealing with issues. It's good to distract yourself, but it's never okay to let those distractions consume you to the point where you are ignoring what needs to be addressed, which is your emotions. Therapy, for me at least, has been helping out a lot. I think I'm like 4 months into therapy, so I'm very behind. Like I'm playing catch up with therapy, but mental health I think is huge. I would tell people all the time, like, oh yeah, like you should try it, like definitely. Yet I completely forgot about myself, and I was neglecting myself. So a lot of what happens in this show is a mirror to what's happened in my life. Obviously, I don't have fire or ice, lightning powers, but there's glimpses of rain that definitely have been threaded throughout my life. And that's why the tone of Series 3 is just dramatically darker than Series 1 and 2. The next scene, we have the aliens, James, Travis, Skept, Lobster, and Grapes. In the earlier episodes of Series 3, we had this plot line where Travis was teaching James how to be more confident, and then James tries to confront Frank in episode 7, but doesn't happen. Hey Frank, I have a score to settle with you!
No time to talk with you fucks!
And then he tries to confront him again, and he wants to confront Frank, but Grapes, being a true friend, doesn't want to do that. I want you guys to point me in the direction of Frank. I need to finish some unsettled business. No way! Frank is my friend. You can't have him. And then Travis is willing to just not go against his family anymore because he's wronged them so many times. But now it's like, oh crap, I have to help my friend. So it's really a conflict between like, I want to respect my family and not cause any more problems, while also not wanting to repeat those mistakes with his new family. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but I'm a firm believer in defending a friend. So it's a very interesting tug of war that takes place. Throughout this whole struggle, Travis obviously chooses to side with James. You're my best friend I ever had! I love you, Travis! Now go, James! You can do it! And then James is able to get away to go find Frank. Now that is true friendship! Grapes! Why not both? But as he runs away, Grapes is able to snag the codes, and Grapes respects Travis and James to the point where he understands why that has to happen. But at the same time, he's like, hey, why not both? Why can't I let James and Travis have their moment while also me getting the rain codes? So now that they have the rain codes, they have what they need to shut down the rain production room and stop the rain once and for all. Hopefully nothing happens. Come on, let's change the weather. The next scene is huge for the series. It is the grand finale to the Frank versus the Professor fight scenes, or just dynamic in general. Basically, I wanted this scene to be so I want it to be so like final, but also so powerful and epic. And I mentioned before, like when you're put into extreme situations, your powers will awaken, right? So throughout the whole show, Frank eventually awakened a tier of his Imperium, which was white fire, which is plasma. So there's orange fire, a hotter version of that is blue fire, an even hotter version of that is white, which is plasma. And then the next step was, hey, he becomes fire.
What are you going to do? I think you fail to understand that I am pure lightning! You can't defeat an element!
The Professor gets the upper hand, as he usually does, and starts to like really damage Frank. And because there's less oxygen in the area, Frank again is at a much weaker state than he usually is on Reach. So he's taken way more damage. At the same time, like Frank is a character that has such a strong will. You know, he's like he's stubborn in the fact that like he refuses to give up. He's just a fighter. Like he really has that in him. And Ignis doesn't want Frank to die. So Ignis does everything it can to really help Frank get through the situation, and he's able to overcome the Professor's attack. He unlocks the final form of his Imperium, which is becoming fire. So when the Professor launches his final attack on him, the attack actually goes straight through Frank, not harming him at all, because he's literally fire now. He's not getting damaged by it anymore. And the fire literally overtakes him and heals him in real time. And then he's able to turn his fire from orange to blue to plasma. But because there's no oxygen, or at least there's way less oxygen in the space station, Frank has a very short timer to do what he needs to do, otherwise he will die.
I only have 60 seconds. If I can't defeat you, you win!
Because he's like putting so much stress on his body.
Incredible!
He goes all out, does this barrage of attacks on the Professor.
How are you doing that?
I'm an element too!
And then he ends up bleeding even more than he was already, because again, he's he's overworking his body to such an extent. I wanted to reference this final scene where Frank takes out the professor to a scene in One Piece where Luffy fights Lucci in Enies lobby. We see Luffy so exhausted and just like so about to die and like on the brink of death, and he's able to push through that barrier and launch his final attack and is able to reach that next level of performance without really even thinking about it. It's like a very rare sense of like whenever you're about to die or like your senses get heightened like one last time just for that extra percentage of survival. And Frank is able to unlock that where he launches his final assault on the professor. Leal is someone that could only be talked to overcome him, right? Like you can't defeat Leal with fight. You have to kind of talk to him on an emotional level to kind of get through to him. The professor, you're never able to talk to him. You have to get through to him by literally fucking destroying him physically.
I ain't no fucking warthog! Yeah!
That's what Frank's able to do. One last time, one final attempt. He has a timer. He's able to just launch everything he has at the professor one final time.
You're right. The warthog couldn't do this.
And in the first time ever in the professor's life, he's able to look at Frank objectively and go, you know what? You're not a warthog. You are actually really powerful. And you know what? I respect you. In that moment, he gets fucking sent flying. And I wanted to emphasize how powerful this attack was from Frank, that it's so fucking powerful what Frank's able to do that he literally blasts him out of the fucking space station and creates this giant hole in the station. That's how powerful the attack was. It was so powerful, it blasted the professor through several reinforced steel walls that he's literally sent flying. And because of this, it creates a massive rip in the station, causing the whole station to destabilize. Just as the crew are about to talk Leal out of shutting down the rain, the whole station goes into free fall and everyone starts panicking, and Leal decides to freeze everything as a last attempt to kind of save everything. I wanted to emphasize how powerful this fight was with Frank and the professor, that it was so powerful that it causes everyone else on the station to stop what they're doing and figure out how to deal with this new problem. So Leal decides, like, you know what, I'm gonna keep the rain going, but can he keep the rain going?
Tom, don't you have some fancy gadget to free us? You're this famous nomad, right?
Nomad. The Nomad.
You know, when Jennifer says, like, hey, you're the nomad, you can totally figure this out, do something. Leal finds out that Tom's the nomad. They have a discussion about Ace, and we find out that Leal was the pilot from episode 2 that wasn't actually sent along Tom and Ace to do recon at this facility where Ace unfortunately ended up getting killed. And we find out that, like, there's a lot connected.
Already, I've said too much. No! I need to know! Who are they? Who was responsible for Ace's death?
And now we find out that Leal is involved somehow, and Tom has to find out exactly what he knows. In the last scene of episode 12, the professor reflects on himself. He acknowledges that Frank has really screwed him up, and yeah, Frank 100% has completely destabilized the professor to the point where he's actually really weak in this current state. And because of that, the Dark Daryl makes a surprise attack and lethally injures the professor.
If it wasn't for your sudden decision, I wouldn't have learned if one of us goes down, the other gets stronger.
Professor or Dark Daryl or Daryl go down, it makes the other person stronger because they're all linked to the same Imperium, which is Fulgur.
And it starts with you.
And Dark Daryl utilizes this time to get rid of the professor so he can become physically stronger.
You shouldn't live like this! Enjoy that trip down!
And he sets his eyes on the space station. He was created by all the anger from Daryl, and now he feels like it's his objective goal to just finish what was started previously. He's there to finish what he started. He's there to finish the job, to finally be free. That was Reign Series 3, Episode 12. A lot happens in this episode. It's a big episode. And it sets the stage for the next one. Like, Episode 12, in my opinion, was the Professor's episode. It was his episode to just do what he needed to do. And then the next episode is going to be Dark Daryl's episode. It's a nice reminder, like, okay, the Professor was the big bad, but hey, don't forget Dark Daryl. Dark Daryl's still here. He's coming in. And now everyone is like super wounded or weakened or beaten down, and like Dark Daryl is like coming in hot when everyone's like nowhere near where they need to be to take him on. So episode 13 is going to be crazy. Yeah, series 3, episode 12, big episode. One of my favorite episodes of the whole series. We are 2 episodes away from the finale, from the end of Reign Series 3. Next Friday, November 28th, the trailer for episode 13 will go up, and then the following Friday, December 5th, the episode 13 will go up. So thank you so much for watching Reign Series 3 video documentary for episode 12, Elements Collide. Stay tuned for episode 13 and 14 of Reign Series 3 here on Jacoby Rising. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.